Since the beginning of Destiny, Bungie has only ever given us 3 classes to choose from, those being Titan, Hunter, and Warlock. Back in D1 and early Destiny 2, the classes felt like they were less separated by specific roles, such as the stereotypical Hunter going invisible, Titan do big damage, and Warlock being the support or healer, and more so separated by power and aesthetic fantasy. Would you rather be an acrobatic space ninja, a big strong crayon-eating space knight, or a paracausal space wizard? Class roles have grown more and more prevalent over the years for all classes, but it is seen abundantly clear when you look at contest mode completions or anything in Destiny with a fire team that requires a little bit of thought that a Warlock is turning into simply just the support class and less of the space wizard I once knew and loved. The start of class-specific roles can be traced back to when Bungie added Well of Radiance, a super that Warlocks would never take off since the Forsaken DLC, back in 2018. If you've ever played Destiny 2, then you are most definitely familiar with the Well of Radiance, a super that when casted creates a large healing rift big enough to fit you and your allies. There is a little more to this super, but all that needs to be known for the sake of the video is that a Well of Radiance creates a rift that when standing in it makes you nearly impossible to die. This was of course before the nerf that would come to Well of Radiance in the Final Shape DLC, almost 6 years after the launch of Forsaken, or so we thought. The specific nerf to Well of Radiance stated that it would now grant Radiant for 8 seconds when players exit the Well of Radiance area, reduced player survivability while standing in the Well of Radiance aura, reduced healing per second from 100 to 50 health points, matching restoration times 2. Remember this is important later on. Increased health on cast from 40 to 300 health points, reduced damage resistance for non-boss combatants 40 to 20%, and reduced damage resistance versus boss combatants from 40 to 10%. Now, looking at this nerf strictly from a numbers perspective, you could say that the potency of Well pretty much got cut in half, apart from the Radiant when exiting the Well and the increased health points upon cast. This was definitely something to note for the Day 1 Raiders going up against the Witness in just a few weeks. Warlocks might actually be forced to run something different besides their solar subclass. However, this nerf proved to be basically meaningless thanks to the exotic helmet Bungie would later add on the release of the Final Shape, the Speaker's Helm, or Speaker's Sight rather. The Speaker's Sight helmet would turn the user's regular healing grenade into a healing turret that would auto-lock onto yourself or nearby teammates who were low on health, or if they weren't, just simply top them off to make sure they were A-OK. This combined with fragments such as Ember of Singeing, Ember of Benevolence, Ember of Empyrean, and Ember of Solace allowed for basically an infinite number of healing turrets, both inside and out of your Well of Radiance. Did I forget to mention that thanks to the Touch of Flame aspect, these healing grenades provide restoration times 2, which if you remember is the same buff that is now provided from your Well of Radiance super. Your healing turrets combined with the healing rift are turned into essentially just another Well of Radiance. This is seen perfectly during the Vespers Host final boss fight on contest mode. This boss fight is one of the more unique in the game because it was supposed to, key term supposed to, have you keep moving during your damage phase. This was able to be completely ignored by my team and others who would run 2 Warlocks on Well, and when those Wells were up, they would spam their healing turrets and healing rifts.
1 second. Get data. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well now. Good. Unit 17. Unit data. Good.
I got so passionate about the fact that Warlocks have a Well of Radiance on demand now that I forgot to mention they can pretty much create infinite heavy ammo. This is thanks to the Cenotaph helmet that was released back in August of 2023 for Season of the Deep. All Warlocks had to do was mark a target with a trace rifle, further lowering their damage because trace rifles are pretty much the worst guns in the game, apart from some exotics that are extremely situational, and have their teammates finish off the enemy for some heavy ammo. Because why would a Warlock ever kill an enemy? We're just here to provide heals and ammo for the whole squad. Not to mention that exotics like Divinity and the Navigator are support exotics themselves, with Divinity providing a debuff to the target and the Navigator providing Woven Mail and Tangles for your team to grapple upon. Cenotaph can be seen in every contest mode since its release, because more heavy ammo is always good. While your teammates might be full of heavy ammo, you won't be. Cenotaph only provides heavy ammo for your teammates, not the user. Instead, it gives special ammo for the user for that oh so good trace rifle of yours. Warlocks have the worst damage supers in the game. Hunters get a golden gun that, when combined with the Celestial Nighthawk exotic helmet, shoots one extremely powerful shot for a quick burst of damage. Not to mention, this also pairs with the Still Hunt exotic sniper rifle. Basically, Hunters just get their own exotic weapon. And Titans get a super that turns them into an electrified version of Superman that hits for a one-time huge chunk of damage, and can even be combined with Kuros of the Fallen Star for more damage. Or if there's multiple targets, they'll just turn the whole room into ice. What do Warlocks get? We throw a big purple ball at our enemy, or for feeling extra mean, we'll thread some needles. My problem isn't with the design of these supers, but rather the fact that not only do these supers pale in comparison for DPS, but we also have no exotic to increase our damage. Our best option is to get a Star Eater roll on a class item that can only be used on Prismatic, which still isn't worth it because the damage is mid when compared to the other classes' supers. Note that the damage numbers you just saw were episode revenants, and the higher damage numbers for Warlock require lots of setup and time in your super, not optimal for DPS rotations. Another thing I want to add is that for most fire teams that consist of a mix of Titans, Hunters, and Warlocks, it will almost never be worth it to run a damage super on Warlock instead of Well. This is because 9 out of 10 times it is more important to survive rather than get a little extra damage in. It gets frustrating seeing other classes play with the new toy Bungie gave them become instantly meta-defining pretty much every time. Remember when Titans were just constantly throwing their Solar Hammer and they named it Bonk Hammer? Remember when Titans first got the Banner of War and would pair their Strand subclass with a 1-2 punch shotgun to hit damage numbers never seen before in Destiny? Remember when Titans figured out the Consecration meta on Prismatic, which I'll add Titans also have the best Transcendence in the game and it's not even close, and now they get to use their new Rally Barricade Bolt Charge aspect. Remember when Hunters brought back Orpheus Rig for Onslaught and had basically infinite tethers, making it the best ad control option in the game? Remember when Pantheon came out and Hunters figured out they could get insane damage numbers with a primary hand cannon? Remember when Hunters realized they could stay invisible by dodging and punching every 2 seconds? Remember when Hunters used Golden Gun and Still Hunt to absolutely nuke the Witness? And now they can become an attack helicopter. Remember back when we fought Rolk and all the Warlocks were using Well of Radiance? Remember back when we fought Nezarec and we used Well of Radiance, but this time we used a lot of fusion grenades? Remember back when we fought the Witness and we still used Well of Radiance after the nerf because we now had healing turrets? Remember when Bungie introduced contest dungeons and all the Warlocks were using trace rifles that tickled the enemies to create heavy ammo for their allies, then hot swapping to Speaker's Sight to throw healing turrets again? This is what it feels like to be a Warlock, forever chained to Well of Radiance and the role of support for the fire team. Now that we've established how boring Warlock has felt in difficult settings for these past years, and the fact that we're only there to provide support through granting our team heavy ammo and heals, let's discuss what Destiny should do to solve this issue. Despite what you may think after watching the video up to this point, I actually don't want Bungie to nerf Well. I think there are better ways to get Warlocks off the subclass they've been using for almost 7 years now. First off, why is Solar the only class that allows me to heal my allies? Why can't I heal them on Strand or Arc or literally anything else? I know it's possible to use a healing build on Prismatic, but why would I when it sucks in comparison to Solar? I think I would be much more welcome to class-specific roles if the game allowed me to become a healer on all subclasses. However, class-specific roles isn't what I want for Destiny. We need more viable, support-based supers and abilities on all classes. I feel as if the days of hunters running tether for DPS support are long gone, thanks to the introduction of artifact mods, pretty much always providing a way to debuff a target, and tractor cannon being much more efficient in certain scenarios, while also providing a 30% debuff. And we haven't seen a Bubble Titan since Sate 14 ruled the Destiny meta back in D1. One idea I have for a support-based hunter super takes inspiration from Invisible Woman from Marvel Rivals. Hunters could throw a big grenade on the ground that gives invis to their whole team for like 10 to 15 seconds. During this time you are completely invisible even when you shoot. A super idea I have for Titans could be they throw down a giant rally barricade that allows for their team to shoot through, kinda like Reinhardt. This thing would be massive, and maybe could provide some increased reload speed. Beyond just supers, however, Hunters and Titans need more ways to support and heal their allies. I don't really have any ideas right now, but I'm sure Bungie could think of something. I want to add that I am seriously having fun in Destiny right now, for the first time in a while. I actually love the new arc aspect that was added for Warlocks, allowing me to create a blinding turret that doesn't consume my grenade. The only problem occurs when I play with my friends in any dungeon, raid, or even a tough nightfall. It's in these scenarios that if I don't use a speaker's sight and a Well of Radiance build, that I put the whole team at a disadvantage. The way Destiny works right now, I will never see myself at the top of a damage chart. This is because I am forever chained to the Well of Radiance super as a Warlock. But Cane Train, just loadout swap to Sanguine with your heavy weapon matching your super. First off, this is lame. Warlocks deserve a good super that actually does damage, not just a chest piece to put on to make their guns do more damage. Also, in a scenario where you don't have multiple Warlocks or are doing something with relative difficulty in terms of power level, it is almost necessary to have your Warlock spam their healing nades and rifts in order for everyone to stay alive. Which means no, I along with what I believe probably to be most Warlock mains haven't really gotten a chance to use Sanguine because we still have to use Speaker Sight to keep our team alive. Hunters and Titans should have more ways to support their team through new supers and abilities. And if that's not going to happen, then Warlocks should at least be able to heal their fellow comrades, not just on Solar, but on all subclasses. So if you're a Hunter or Titan watching this video, check up on the Warlock in your fire team. Ask if they're okay, and maybe let them try a DPS phase where they aren't on well. I hope you enjoyed my rant about how Warlocks are forever chained to Well of Radiance. Go check out my Twitch, like and subscribe, and maybe if I don't have to use Well tonight, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Forgot to say this earlier, but the link to all the videos I used for this video will be in the description. Shout out all those guys.